Where's that going? No. All right.
Pick apart the passion. Pick apart the passion. Pick the passion. Pick passion. Pick apart the passion. Pick apart the passion. 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 Pick apart the passion. Passion.
Welcome to Pick Apart the Passion podcast. Tonight, we actually have a special guest, also a homie of mine that I've done things with myself in this music biz. We got the homie Eyenine in the house. Say what's up to the people, Eyenine.
What's up, everyone? Thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So, yeah, I mean, we're going to talk about a number of different things. But to start it off, let's actually get into how long ago it was that you first started rhyming, being an artist. When did you find that passion behind that, knowing that this is what you wanted to do?
It started at like a pretty young age. But as far as like the passion behind it goes, probably when I was getting closer to being able to do shows live in front of people. Like I always loved writing and just like putting stuff to beats, but like it was always kind of like a hobby at first. But then when I was like, I guess being 21 and being able to like be at bars, which is where most of the performances were in New England, when I started doing that and like going to rap night every Wednesday in Portland was like when I really felt like it was like a passion of mine that I wanted to keep doing this.
Yeah, man. So live shows, that's what made you really feel like this is it. This is what I love to do. Like it was the live aspect, like performing live.
Well, I mean, I always loved writing and I still will, depending on whatever I write, if it's going to be like a book or something else. But the passion was always there for writing. But as far as like the hip hop goes, yeah, I was definitely like going to live shows when I was younger, like going to see like Atmosphere and Idea and like ADM and Glue and stuff when I was a kid, and then being able to perform and do those kind of shows myself. So I was like, oh, this can be a thing instead of just me creating music for myself, like in my room, like at night, just like, oh, I'm going to write another song and no one will ever hear it. Which I still do sometimes. There's plenty of songs I've written that no one's ever heard, but I think that like the passion behind it is like definitely like playing out, seeing people like, and having them have a good night because we're performing.
Yeah. And you're a dope performer, man. You're a great live
Thank you.
performer. Obviously I've seen you perform a number of times. We've done shows together.
Yep. We were on that project together before we even met.
We were
Beats, Breaks, and Big Smiles, Volume 2.
Yeah.
Out of Sweden. Yeah, we were both on. We both had Dynamo 414 as a guy that produced beats for us.
Have you had any connection with him since then?
I mean, we still keep up. Like we talk every once in a while. There was a time when I was before COVID, I was gonna do. We had a bunch of songs. Speaking of ones that I haven't released, there's a bunch that were produced by him that I wanted to release, and I was gonna re-record them and release them before COVID, and then that kind of put a halt on that. Then I started working on the other album and getting that out. But I still want to, at least in some form, release some of those songs that we made together that are, I think, really good because he's a great producer.
Oh yeah, definitely. We actually came back together. I think, I don't remember if it was 2019 or 2020. It might've been actually during the COVID thing. Cause I recorded a ton of music during the whole start of COVID up till now. Like I've so much music, it's ridiculous, but we actually linked back up and I did a song and we just put it out as a loose single randomly. But that was actually the first time I talked to him in probably 5-6 years. It was crazy because it's like
Yeah.
it's almost like the connection never ended. It's like
Right.
talk to him. He was like, "Oh, for real? It's been a minute, but here, check this beat out." And then he sends me a beat, and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, this is dope. Let me do something to it." And I did it that day. I sent it back. He's like, "This is awesome." I was like, "Word." And then we put it out, and then
Nice.
it was what it was. But it would be dope to hear you put that, whether it's a project or tracks or whatever it is. It'd be dope
Yeah.
to hear that.
I think it's like 7 songs.
Oh,
With like one of
EP.
them being new. Yeah, it'd be like an EP. I even had like the name like Commensalism and everything. I had a bunch of songs. I think like 6 or 7. It was 6, but I was gonna make a 7th new one so it wasn't just like old unreleased stuff. Like I was gonna re-record everything anyway, but yeah. I mean, hopefully I can still do that. I have time now. All the time
Yeah.
in the world. It's also crazy because he's just been in Gothenburg, Sweden this entire time. So our whole like working relationship was just like chatting, like just being on different sides of the world.
Yeah, I mean that's a similar relationship I have with Bofat, who's like my main producer right now that I work with, and he's in Hanover, Germany.
Oh, okay.
So that's who I mainly work with now. And you know what? It's kind of always been like that for me as far as producers go. I feel like most of the producers I work with don't live here, like
Right.
where I'm at. Have you? This just made me think of this. I know we played a show in Oshkosh.
Mhm.
Have you ever played Milwaukee? Have you ever played a Milwaukee show?
Yeah, once, I think. I think it was not that tour, but the tour after that. It was another one with Easton, and I think we had a Milwaukee show, and you were there, weren't you? I mean, whenever I'm out there, like at all, I know Oshkosh because of like the bowling alley that we would go to after. But it was, and we played Madison. Maybe it was Madison.
It might have been Madison.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever actually played Milwaukee.
Because
I know I've been there, so
Yeah, 'cause-
I would think that we played.
yeah,
If we
I'm
did,
not
it was
sure.
like 2007 or 8. No, like 2016 or 15 or something, like something with Easton or far out.
Yeah, now I don't remember.
I have to like dig up the tour flyers and be like, oh yeah, all right, Milwaukee.
But yeah, it's actually crazy to me because the first time we met in the physical was at that initial Oshkosh show. I believe.
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember
Um,
reading your name and being like, why does that name look so familiar? And then I heard your voice. I was like, oh, we worked, like we were on the same CD, and we actually were working on a song way back that never happened. Because you had the Geraldo Rivera dance. That was a song on there, right?
Yep.
It was like do the Bill O'Reilly Geraldo Rivera dance. And I was like, this song is crazy. And then I had Zombies on it, and you like that one. And we were going to work on something that had to do with like Alien, I think, with like Ripley. I think
Yep.
like the name had something to do with that. This was like 15 years ago, but yeah.
Yeah.
We finally actually did do a track though. We did the one with Jice
With
One
Jice,
from Arsonist.
Jice.
Yeah. I really like that song too.
Yeah, that joint's dope, even though when we performed it, I fucked my verse up. But it is what it is.
Yeah. Wait, we performed it? I must have
We
fucked my verse up too.
we
Oh, man.
totally performed it. We did it at one of the rap nights in Manchester.
Oh, yep. Yeah. Okay, I do remember that.
I believe it was when I was on tour with America's Addiction and Ram.
Right.
I believe that's when we attempted to do it. And then the next time I came out, we didn't, because at that point in time, that's when I had the beef with the producer.
Yeah,
the
I
track.
remember you telling me that. Yeah, I forgot about
Yeah.
that.
And now I don't, it's a super hate relationship with that. Like,
And that
it's
guy's
like,
local to you, right?
oh, no. If he was,
Oh.
it would be bad things.
Okay, good. Yeah.
No, he's actually in Australia. That's where that dude's from. And it just was a lot of beef, whatever. But I moved on. I don't know if he still dwells on it, but it's gone. But still, at the end of the day, I mean, he did some fucked up shit to where, I'm pretty sure hate is a proper word for
Yeah.
how I feel about that dude. But yes, that song is super dope though. You and Jice came with it. It's super fresh. I definitely think we should do something new at some point in time.
Definitely,
I think that would
yeah.
be dope.
We should get Dynamo to do it. That would be crazy. Like the sound that we never actually got done. We just get a new
There
beat
it
from him.
is.
Yeah.
We could definitely do that. That would be super fresh.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned some names from
Uh-oh.
artists in the New England area.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I'm just curious about um what that scene was like when you started, because I feel like I heard a lot of those names around as some high up names in the underground. So like they were bubbling, but I swear for the longest time I didn't know where they were from. So
Right.
um but I heard their name. So was the scene super crazy back then? Like
It was like before I was doing anything and just going as a fan. Yeah, we had like ADM and Shalem from New Hampshire, like right down the road from me. I mean, it's like an hour away, but still. We had the whole Anticon thing. That's Portland, Maine. That's an hour from me.
Mhm.
The whole Boston scene was crazy. With like Esoteric and like all those dudes, Alchemist and all that stuff. And Yeah, no, pretty much I mean, New Hampshire was, and the New Hampshire had its own thing. It had like Granite State and like Bug Out and the terminology from Mass and like Ape and Undo. There was a bunch of people that were doing it. It was pretty cool. But a lot of the times, like touring acts, national touring acts would be like, well, we don't want to really go up north of Boston. So when I met up with the Rap Night dudes, Shoop and Jesse, Ill by Instinct, like their whole plan was like to get people to keep going up from Boston to like there's more here. And then when we started the Rap Night Manchester, we could like link them up. Or now it's with Monday the Mines in Portland, where it's like we can get you a viable route through north of Boston. You don't have to turn around.
And it's super dope. It's like my favorite area, I think. It's become
Yeah.
my favorite area to do touring.
I mean, everything's so close. That's why. Like I live in Dover, which has a good scene. And that's 45 minutes to Manchester, where Rap Night is. It's an hour from Portland, less than an hour from Boston, 2.5 hours from Burlington, 4.5 hours from New York City. So like,
Yeah, so many places you could hit. It's crazy.
yeah. Yeah. I just toured with Jarv, Dylan, and Mr. Burns, and everything was Northeast. And I think the longest drive was like New Haven, Connecticut to Burlington, Vermont. It was like 4 hours.
So
And
being
like when what?
go ahead. What were you
I was gonna say, like when I was touring out with when I saw you out there, like we would have a show in like Madison, and then we'd have another show in like Chicago the next day. And it's like, oh, how long is it? It's like, oh, 11 hours. It's like, oh, we gotta like leave the show and drive overnight just to get there to prepare and like set up. And sometimes it's like, yeah, you gotta do that. But
Yeah,
New
I
England,
mean,
it's everything's like a drive, and it's like an afternoon to get there.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Speaking of touring, because you're one of the few that I know that used to tour on a regular like I did before
Right.
the whole COVID thing, and you're actually one of the few that I know that has done a tour with like now. So
Yep.
I'm just curious, how did that all, like, how did it work out? Was it good? Were there less fans? Were there less people? Was it
They
like how?
it was a mixture. Most of the shows, like almost all of the shows, were amazing. I was very surprised. I think everyone was starved for live music, so everyone went out. Um, the downside to it was there were a couple venues that backed out because of COVID protocols, and like I don't blame them. They thought that's what they needed to do. So we had like 3 that we had to reschedule. A couple of them were good. One of them was like a last minute thing. Even the last minute show was great, but it's like we knew going into it. It's like we had the show set up and it was going to be awesome. It was going to be in Dover, like where I live. So it was going to be like the hometown show. And I had just played right before my album dropped in Dover, and it was incredible. And the show went so well, they were like, oh, we want you here for your tour. And I was like, awesome. And then they were like, hey, sorry, we definitely want you here, but we're stopping live music for the time being. It's like, yeah, I understand. So the tour was great though. Like the shows that we did play, people came out. And there were a couple of shows that were very strict on vaccine, like getting like just showing proof. And I know like I forgot my proof for that show. Like we stopped off one day in Dover, and like I just like unloaded things I didn't think I needed for the rest of the tour. And one of those was the vaccine card. So I had to like go through my email, even as the performer, just to be like, no, here's like the confirmed thing that I'm vaccinated. Like, and a lot of people showed up to that show not thinking they needed that card, which it said it right on the event, but I didn't read it because I was on tour. So it's just like, hey, come out here. And then some people went and they were like, oh, we can't get in.
Yeah, and I mean, who knows? That might be a thing.
Yeah.
Going forward for the next who knows how many years. You know what I'm saying?
It either just needs to be a thing or not. Like, because I think people were like, oh, well, some people do it and some people don't. So like they just like me, I don't even know where mine is. I'm gonna have to get another one. I think it's like in my car or something. Like I gotta, but I'm fully vaccinated. I was like, well, nobody cares. Like I keep going in all these places and no one's even asking for it. So like I just didn't, and it doesn't fit in the wallet. So I'm like, I left it at home or in my car or something. I have to find it basically. It's like a passport. I keep losing that, but things that are too big for your wallet, I'm not gonna hold on to for very long.
Yeah, man. Yeah, so I unfortunately have not tried to tour really. I mean, I know I'm trying to string something together last minute here just because I had this random idea. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I haven't really tried to put anything together. I was probably gonna maybe wait till next year. I might have some things going on, so I might wait till then. But obviously if I'm able to get this thing moving out your way,
Right.
that will be fresh. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, even like our conversation, I was like, you're like, oh, Dover. And I was like, oh, funny story. I don't think I can get you a Dover show. Like I can't get me a Dover show until something changes. Like there's none of the venues want to do it, which is fine. Like I get it.
Yeah. No,
And
it's
I was even hesitant like in the beginning because like Dylan had to fly up and I was like, well, what if more shows cancel? Like he's just gonna be stuck up here with like nothing to do. Like we should make sure that I still think it's like in like the early days of trying to do like that's why we didn't go out of New England. Like or just the
Mhm.
Northeast. Like we kept it where if something did happen, we would be able to get back and I guess put Dylan on a plane or something.
Yeah, it makes me wonder. Like I haven't really kept track of any, but I see all these big tours going on. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
like the Griselda tours.
Yep.
And it makes me wonder if any of those shows got completely canceled. You know what I'm saying? Like I haven't really kept up on it, so I don't really know. Or like
I
even
don't either.
or like there's even like that Raekwon Ghost and Jizza show or something.
Yeah, they're coming to Portland.
Oh,
It's
word.
like, yeah, at Aura. Yeah, and it's like, is that I'm that's gonna be an amazing show. Like I played with them at Aura before, but like, is that gonna happen? I think so. Like, I think Aura is gonna be like they're a bigger venue. They'll deal with it. It's mostly like the venues that aren't the major ones that don't have these protocols in place that I'm worried about. Like the Middle East when we played, like they were one of the strict ones, but they have to be. And that show was
Mhm.
fine. It would have been better if I had let more people know about that, or they just looked and they were like, oh, this is like a big venue. Like they're going to ask for like a vaccine or a negative test or something. But like the smaller venues, like the bars, like they don't know what's going on.
And there's
Some
so
of them.
many, and there's so many that have closed
Right.
permanently. Like I just saw Riot Room close. I don't know if you saw that.
No, what?
Yeah, Riot Room's gone now. It just
The Brick House is gone in Dover. I know you
Oh,
played
that
there a
was
couple
my
times.
favorite spot.
I know that's why I
love that
moved to
spot.
Dover. Rest in peace to the Brick
Man.
House. I mean, there's still a bar, but they're not doing live music. I still talk to the owner and stuff, like wish them well. But yeah, there's no more
Yeah.
live music there. So
Yeah, I
Something
just
survive.
saw Riot Room close down. I saw it earlier this week.
that's
And
wild. I didn't know that.
I was like, oh man, that was a dope spot to play in KC. That's fucked up.
Yeah. Is it like the whole thing, like the indoor, outdoor, like
Oh yeah, I think it's all done. I think it's completely shut. Maybe somebody will buy it and reopen it. I have no idea exactly
Man.
the exact info on it, but I saw multiple posts of people saying RIP Riot Room. It's been a great run.
Oh man. Yeah. I know like the indie ground people like Indie Fest, like Steady P and Far Out and all them, like I'm sure they'll find another spot for it, but that's where it always was where I would go play. And that was a great time. Like it's like a 2-day hip hop festival there.
Oh yeah, super. I played that in 2015 actually.
Nice. I think that was a year before I did it. I think it was 2016. I don't remember though. Everything before COVID is like just blurs together.
I know last year was like a whole just it didn't even seem like it was a year. Like I feel like I lost a whole year out of my age. Like
Yeah.
you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
People ask me like, oh, how old are you? I'm like, oh, this. I'm like, oh no, wait, I gotta add a year. Or it's like, oh, I haven't seen you in 2 years. Like, you haven't seen me in 3 years. I'm like, oh yeah, I missed a whole year. Like it doesn't count to me because I didn't do anything. But yeah, the crazy thing is I was actually I was on tour with Far Out and Lieutenant Head Trip and Googie was there and Lamont Manuel. And we were in Chicago and I just remember being in a Denny's somewhere. I think we might have played Milwaukee on that tour because we were in somewhere in Wisconsin going to Chicago, and I just remember being in a Denny's and they're talking to me, and I just see in the distance on this TV, and it's the governor of New York just being like, "We're declaring a state of emergency," and we're like, "Oh shit, this is real." Like, it started off as a joke, like, "Oh yeah, COVID," and then like as the tour was going, which was March of 2019, or no, March of 2020. I mean, and things just started shutting down, and we had to make the decision, and we all ended up getting an emergency flight out of O'Hare and cutting the tour by like 2 weeks. Or like
That's why. So you played Milwaukee. That's why I didn't see you. That's when I played the Mac Lethal show in Dubuque. That's when you were here.
And Mac Lethal came and I played with him on that same tour he was on right when I got back from tour. And then he was like, "I'm going to try to go as long as I can." And then his tour ended up getting canceled. But yeah, that was all around like March of 2020, right before the world stopped.
Yep. And that was,
I did play Milwaukee then. Yeah.
Yep. And I remember seeing the flyer for it now. And I was like, fuck.
Right. Yeah. The one time I'm there.
I won't be able to make that. But, but I mean, around that time, I feel like we had a lot of steam behind what we were doing. Like, you were touring a lot, on and off. I was touring a lot. So, you know, if we did cross paths, it was because we were on some tour where we're playing the same shows or something. You like that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that.
Or you were in my neck of the woods, or I was in yours. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that was dope, man. How that was. I feel like all the homies were doing their thing, touring pretty well, and then all of a sudden the shit got crazy. But like I said, I was able to do a lot of behind the scenes shit. Like, I tried to not let it, because touring was my shit, man. Like, I loved it. I had to cancel 36 dates that I had booked. You know what I'm saying? So like, I had 36 shows booked. I had to cancel, and I was devastated because it took me like 3 months to get all that shit booked up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a lot of work. Yeah,
but I was able to get all this vinyl shit going. I never thought I would have my shit on vinyl in my life, and then I linked up. I got like 2 double vinyl record releases in Germany. I just put out this vinyl on a Canada vinyl label, like shit. The 100 Mad thing with Onyx that I got popping right now. Like, if COVID didn't happen, that shit probably none of that would have happened.
Right.
So in a way, hold on one second. You're on the bed. 11. Sorry, daddy things. But but yes, I feel like without it, some of those things wouldn't have happened. So for me,
right,
it sucked, but it created other opportunities.
Definitely.
Did anything like that happen for you? Like, you got a lot of music done, or were you kind of just like in like dead zone where it fucked you up?
Well, at first it did, for sure. Because I had the CD release show set, I had the tour set, the yearly tour I do with Jarve, Mr. Burns and Dylan, that was all set. Wasn't fully booked yet because it was in like September, but we were talking about it in March and April, and we're like, oh, it was going to be the longest one, because we do like 2 or 3 weeks. This one was going to be 5 weeks. We were going to go all the way down to Atlanta, where Dylan was. And then obviously this one was a lot smaller, but still worked out. But yeah, so I had that going. A Little Above Low Key release was set for that year. And then everything stopped, and I kind of just used that time to not do much. I basically just like did nothing. I didn't talk to anyone. I didn't go out. I watched a lot of movies, played a lot of video games, and basically just did nothing. I tried to work on music for a little bit, and then I just got stir crazy. So I used the time to basically completely revamp the album A Little Above Low Key. And I was like, well, we're going to release this next year, which it just came out last month. But I got a new engineer to mix and master it. Shout out to Arthur. He did a fantastic job. I redid some things, like DJ Myth scratched on all the most of the songs. He redid a lot of the scratches. I think I got like an extra feature on it. I don't remember I don't think ADM was on it before COVID, but then we used the time to get it. It might've been right around the time, but yeah. So, and then Juan Cosby put out an album, and I did a couple songs. I just did a couple verses for that. And basically like Dope Knife and I made a song about quarantine, or at least referencing quarantine in it. So I did get to I got to work on things for other people, and then also get my major like for the full length done. So yeah.
That's dope, man. Well, you spoke on it. I was actually going to lead into it next, but you a little above low key. So tell me, actually, before we even talk about it, I want to play the is this how you say it? A-lab?
Oh, I just say I don't know. It's just a little above low key. I just didn't feel like typing it all the way
Okay.
out.
Well,
Because I usually don't like title tracks if the title track is the intro, but I didn't have a name for the intro. So I'm like, oh, it's just the initialization of a little above low key. So you can say
All right.
ALALK or out. It's not really
All
a
right.
word. So
A-lac. I like A-lac.
yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
or
let's
just the
let's-
intro. Yeah.
so let's play the intro, and then the thing at the very end of the intro. I wanted to talk about how that whole thing came about, and then we'll get into the rest of the record. I want to play a couple more joints. So
Okay.
yeah, let's get into the intro a little above low key. This is Pick Apart the Passion podcast, Eyenine. Let's play it right now. Here we go.
Never one to be slept on. Chupacabras making your head nod. You say we're in it for money, buddy, you're dead wrong. I'm not your buddy guy, only said it 100 times. I put together whatever you think is tough to rhyme. Enough to wanna be one of the only ones to make a difference. So take a listen, anything that we can make is amazing. Isn't that the only reason you can feasibly continue? If you trick yourself to think that everybody else is into all the tracks that you make, the facts you create to match the perfect personality you crafted, it's fake. When I9 combine rhymes right at the start, half of you were skeptical, but the others that have been asking aren't like, damn, who you riding with? Standing like a champion, outlandish if I try to miss a chance for you to listen. If you don't know me, well, it's a little above low key.
Out to rock the globe while it's still here to rock. Don't punch girls and we don't punch your clock. Out to rock the globe while it's still here to rock. Don't punch girls and we don't punch your clock.
I want everybody to put your hands up like this for me. One hand, one hand. Make a fist out of it. And we all come together. And that's that iron fist right there, all right? I want to bang up my nigga Eyenine.
Yeah, I mean, for people who don't know who that is the legendary RZA. I personally know the story because you have told me the story, but there's probably people that aren't your hardcore fan base that don't know the story. So can you break down your relationship or how the initial thing happened with you and RZA?
Yeah, I'll try to do it quickly. I know I have told the story a lot, but so I was doing a benefit show in Portland, Maine, and the Wu-Tang Clan had played, I think, the night before, and most of them had gone home, but RZA stayed with his wife an extra night, and the concierge at the hotel knew rap night and knew what we were doing, and they were like, "Oh, you should go to this show." So he called the venue, the Big Easy, and was like, "Hey, I heard there's a rap show tonight. Like, can we get VIP?" And Ken, the owner of the Big Easy at the time, was like, "Oh yeah, we can set this up." He let us all know. He's like, "Hey, just a heads up, RZA might be at the show." He ended up showing up during the show, saw my set, and wanted to talk to me after. So I talked to him for a little bit. I gave him, he was like, "I want your number. I'll be in contact with you." So I gave him my number, and he left. And I remember my manager at the time being like, "Hey, he might not hit you up, but like, it's just cool that this happened. Like, so don't get your hopes up. He could have just like been blowing smoke up your ass or whatever. He could have been drinking, but like, this is cool. Let's celebrate." And I was like, "All right." And then Ken the next day called me and he was like, "Hey, so RZA just called again and asked for your number." So I gave it to him. So if you see a New York number and then all of a sudden call waiting, it's a New York number. I was like, I think this might be him. So I picked it up and he was like, "Hey, come out to Rock the Bells." So I did. And I met him at Rock the Bells. He's like, "I have this tour coming up for the movie, The Man with the Iron Fists. Would you want to go on it? And do you have a DJ?" And I was like, "Yeah, I have El Chupacabra." He was producing music for me at the time. And we were working on Dissembler, the album before, A Little Above Low Key. And then he was like, "Yeah, great. Be on this tour." And it went from New York to Boston and then all the way to Mandalay Bay, House of Blues in Vegas, and House of Blues in LA. And that clip I think was from Austin, Texas, when he had me up. Somebody thankfully filmed that whole show. And he called me up on stage and we did a little thing at the end of his set during the Austin show.
I mean, that's dope. That's super dope, man.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Talking to RZA to me would just be crazy. like that would just be like because I know his voice, you know what I'm saying? Like I know his voice. So I feel like talking to him would be crazy.
Yeah, I mean, he's really down to earth and cool. A lot of the times after the show, especially like the Vegas and the LA show, like we went out. There's like VIP stuff like behind like the ropes, and he was just like with his wife, and like and I was with my friend Omar who came with me, and like we would just sit there and be me, Omar, Riza, and his wife, and we'd just shoot the shit and have a couple drinks, and it was fun.
That's dope, man.
Yeah.
Super dope. So yeah, you had the clip on the record. That's super dope. The next joint, first of all, I just want to say it's dope that you have your own completely own style. You're completely own. Like I haven't heard anybody do things the way you do them and sound the way you sound. So
Thank you.
it's dope to have that as an artist, especially in today's day and age where you got a lot of artists that sound like artists that are already around. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So yes, definitely want to compliment you on that. It's super dope. You got your own thing going.
Thank you.
You know, I could tell I could tell when it's you on a track, basically is what I'm saying. And that's
Yeah.
dope. And that's dope to me.
I usually don't like I joke around. I'm like, oh, I'm like the one that doesn't have to be like, yeah, it's Eyenine if I'm on like somebody else's song. Cause it's like, well, nobody else has that ridiculous of a voice that thinks they can rap. So yeah.
you think you think you have a ridiculous voice? Is that what you
Oh
think?
my God. Yeah. You don't? I mean, I can hear myself right now in the headphones and it's killing me. I don't know how you're dealing with it. I don't know how anyone in my life deals with it. It's brutal, but yeah, I mean, it's unique. So there's that. I just don't let it hold me back. Maybe I should have grown up and smoked cigarettes my whole life and then I'd have a deeper voice or something and sound a lot cooler. But yeah, no, this is what I have. So I use it. And some people
Hey,
think it's
man.
like fake too. And then like they hear me talk and they're like, oh no, all right, you're just ridiculous. I'm like, yeah. That's me.
That's not the way I describe it, but hey, man,
Thank you.
I mean, whatever you want to do and
Yeah.
go with. So yeah, let's get into a full track. There's this joint that I liked, and I feel like you've been performing it before the album came out. This Least Amount.
Yep.
I feel like I heard that at the last show we played together.
Yeah, I would play that and Shine from the album because I had those songs. Because I was working on A Little Above Low Key directly after I was working on Dissembler. It was like a year later. And Least Amount I think I wrote in like 2016 or maybe 2017, not in its full form what it is now, but like the idea and like and Chupacabra made all the beats and like so like the hook was there and like I think I had 2 verses and I would do Shine because Shine was originally a song in my band RFC. I'm actually in my brother's studio right now. He's the guitarist. That was like an RFC song. And then I was like, well, this is really good. And I need one more song for this album. That was back in 2017. So I kind of snagged it from there. I think they're still pissed about that. But I was actually going to talk to you after you said the whole vinyl thing. Cause like I had a bunch of vinyl ideas. Like I want to do like the Shine single and I have like the instrumental, have like the acapella, have the song, and then have the one that was the full band behind it as like an alternate, like a B-side.
Oh
But,
yeah, when we get off the live feed,
Yeah.
you know, just don't dip out and we could talk about it.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, so I did it. I had a couple of these songs done, and then it wasn't in because the album was supposed to be out in 2017, and then it wasn't ready, and then 2018, and I was like, give me another year, and then 2019, and then I was like, I'm almost done. Like I ended up re-recording everything so many times, and I was like, all right, I'm done in 2019. Let's set this date for like May of 2020. And then obviously COVID hit. And I was like, nope, I'm going back to the drawing board. I added another song. I redid some things.
So that must mean you're your own worst critic. You must be very
Oh yeah.
hard on yourself.
I don't know. Some of my critics are pretty bad too. But, yeah.
Well, a hardcore perfectionist because
Right.
I mean, people have told me like, oh, you're done with that already? I was like, yeah, I'm done. I did it already. I get joints done and I just throw them out. I just throw them out there. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
and I don't know if it's how I'm wired. But I've met a bunch of people that are hardcore perfectionists to where they do go through a recording process multiple times and rewrites and things like that. And I guess I never understood. So I want to ask, like, how does that process happen really? Because I'm unfamiliar with it myself. Like, is it you get something done and you listen to it and you're like, nah,
Yeah.
I can do this. Is that how it is? Like, I can do this better, or I can write something better, or is that what it is? Like, is it just
Usually when I put something to, like, when I record it, the writing aspect of it is done. There might be something that I'm like, I'm going to change this one word, or I'm going to change how I say this thing, but the heating just came on, scared me. So the writing is usually done. It's usually just in my performance of it, where it's like, I didn't need to break that verse up into two. I can do that verse in one take. And then, like, so I'll just go in and I'll record the same verse 300 times over the course of like a year, not obviously in the same day, but, and I'll just keep coming back. And like every person that's worked with me has gone crazy probably. I'm like, it's like, oh, Shine revision 17. I'm like, oh, there's like this one thing. And they're like, get it done right. This is like the 17th time we've had to do this. And I'm like, yeah, well, it has to be perfect because I don't want to release it if it's not. So yeah, it's usually in my own head. I do have like a small group of people that I shout out in the album itself. My friend Cheever, Jared, and my brother Joe, and Gary to a lesser extent back in the day, who's Gary Part 3 and the Insomnia Sessions. They would listen to everything that I had, and they were like, they had unbiased opinions. They'd be like, yeah, I think you can do this better. Or especially like, I wouldn't tell them what I think is wrong with it. And then I let them hear it and they're like, oh, that's weird. And like that part in the second verse, I'm like, God damn it. You're right. This is the one part that I hated. And you also don't like it. I got to redo it kind of thing. So I have like a quality control group of people.
I mean, but see, that's dope. I've never had a group like that. I literally just do my shit, put it out there. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, well, whatever, fuck it. It's out there now. I don't care.
Right.
And that's my mental. That's how I am. Like,
I wish I could be like that. I would have way more music out than if I could do that. It wouldn't take me 6 years to make a full length. But yeah, oddly enough, December, I did that in a weekend. Like we did, Shoop just showed me 7 beats or 6 beats, I think. And I was like, oh, and I wrote the entire album in a weekend and then recorded it in North Carolina, that 36 Chambers mobile studio thing. And then we added one song and like my brother played guitar in it as like an outro. I'm like, we should make it 7. Cause again, everything has to be perfect. I'm like, I don't want to release 6 songs, make it 7, like a nice number. And then they were like, oh, do that again for a sister EP. A Little Above Low Key was originally supposed to be a 7-song EP. That was like the opposite, where December was dark and like depressing, I guess. And this one was supposed to be uplifting. And then I was like, no, I'm just going to make it after so much time went by. And it wasn't out in 2014 or 2015 or 2016. I'm like, I'm just going to make it a full length because people have waited this long. So, yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it is dope, man. Let's play this joint. Let's play this joint, Least Amount. Like I said, I've heard you perform this live. I recognized it right away. Like when I heard it, I recognized it right away. I was like, oh, I've heard him perform this. I'm pretty sure. And then, and then I thought about it again. And yeah, I mean, you kill it live. Thank you. And you killed the song. So let's play it. This is Least Amount off A Little Above Low Key, Eyenine, Pick Apart the Passion podcast. Let's run it.
They say it's better when you reach the second time around. That's right about the moment we could leave and head for higher ground. Tantamount to how we handle ourselves. We try to bury the wealth under the weight of what we lie about. Time amounts to something we could never fathom, even if we had a reason to perceive that we could have it wrapped around our little fingers, but it lingers like a habit, and that's a weakness I could easily get trapped in. It's not an accident we ask for what we have. Send the bad into the universe and it'll give it back. It's not your fault if you begin to think it lacks. It's only hopeless if you focus on the negative and past. Life is what you make it when you spend your time with others. Surround yourself with failure and you'll damage one another. It's embarrassing and makes you want to hide under the covers. Yeah, let me share what I've discovered. Nothing is final when you try to draw the line in the least amount of time. Stuck in denial with the others going blind. Well, at least I got a reason to believe in what is mine. Nothing is fine, now you try to draw the line in the least amount of time. Stuck in the limelight with others going blind. Well, at least I got a reason to believe in what is mine. They say it's better when you justify the means. By reaching for an end you only come to find in dreams. It's not exactly how it should fit together. You gotta put in the effort to find the balance that it needs. A little less fairy tale, a lot more work. And you can't be scared to fail probably won't hurt. Well, not nearly as bad as wondering why you never gave it a try. Which scenario is worse? I've exhausted every resource, and sleep is more important, even if it's slightly more than what I need to get on tour. It keeps the door open a little for the next in-store performance, sort of tightening the noose. I guess I'm slowly moving forward. And isn't that the point of carrying the torch? Of course it's difficult at times, just by design you feel ignored and wonder why you can't afford to keep your hopes and dreams alive. It's a stressful way of living. If you don't believe me, try. Nothing is final when you try to draw the line in the least amount of time. Stuck in denial with the others going blind. Well, at least I had a reason to believe in what is mine. Nothing is fine, now you try to draw the line in the least amount of time. Stuck in the limelight with others going blind. Well, at least I had a reason to believe in what is mine. Sometimes advice isn't what it used to be. It can be dangerously different from what you believe. And truthfully, it's fine to be a little scared of what you can find. And that's been going through the back of your mind. And now it's only just a matter of time before you let your weakest actions define who you are, where you've been, and how you act. A lack of empathy can factor into how you view the facts. It used to matter, now it's frivolous. Consider this an act of self-destruction just to keep my tarnished legacy intact. Back to where it started when you first went off the tracks. That's where you can find the answer to the questions asked. Exactly how it's always been, you've never been taking it back. So relax, it'll be fine, you can better be betting on black. Nothing is final when you try to draw the line in the least amount of time. Stuck in denial with the others going blind. Well, at least I had a reason to believe in what is mine. Nothing is fine, now you try to draw the line in the least amount of time. Stuck in the limelight with others going blind. Well, at least I had a reason to believe in what is mine. 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 To believe in what is mine.
I mean, that's a dope track, man. I like
you.
that. I wanted to ask the breakdown before the third verse in the beat. Was that added or was that there when you wrote to it? There's like a little breakdown.
No, I know what you're talking about. That was there. We did do some processing to I don't think that beat we did. I think a lot like the song Wasted on my first album. I think I wrote to it as is. Like we obviously punched things up, but that part was there and I wrote to it because that verse is shorter than the other verses. I would have made it an equal length. I think that's only 14 bars or something.
But 3 verses, that's not really, not that there is a proper way to write songs, but nowadays
You don't do a third verse.
people don't do third verses. I mean,
No.
I do miss third verses on some tracks, definitely, but it sucks how people's attention spans are nowadays to where they can't handle the third verse. They're like,
Right.
"Oh, I'm ready for the next song already." I mean, how do you feel? How do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, it's different enough that I think it works there. And I think originally the song ended with that breakdown and that just faded out. And I was like, well, I could put a third verse. It's also so funny when I go sometimes, at first, sometimes I must have done it over 100 times and even now when I hear it, I'm like, ugh, I could have done that better. Just the word sometimes that echoes out doesn't quite match what I wanted it to as the verse continues. And there's one other part I just heard for the very first time that'll bother me for the rest of my life. But I'm like, I would have been so much to fit. It's just like the tiniest little thing in the last chorus, but I'll never truly be like, oh, this is perfect. So, I mean, nothing is, so who cares, I guess. But yeah, the third verse, I think if it's different enough, or if the song is fast, or if there's more than just you in it, like if you and I did a song and it was like the song I have with Witness on there, like he does the second verse and I do the first and third. So like, to me, it's still 2 verses and he has the third in the middle kind of thing. But there are a few songs on here that do have 3 verses, which I don't normally do. I think if it warrants it and it needs it, it should have it. I don't think it should be cut. You can always do a radio edit that cuts out the verse anyway, if it's too long. But yeah, but also there will be a thing where sometimes the song should have ended and then there's a third verse. It's not like 99 Problems. Like the third verse in that is awful. Like I hate that verse. Like when he gets pulled over, the first 2 verses of that song are amazing, and then the third verse, every time I'm just like skip. Like that could have easily been 2. I think I'm probably just gonna catch heat for saying that, but whatever.
Fuck it. Who cares?
Yeah, it sounds like 30 years old. I don't care. Jay-Z's doing fine without my critique. So yeah, I mean, I think if a song needs it, it should have it. I don't think it should be forced, and I don't think it should be skipped just because the norm now is not to do it. I think every song is different. I have a song Jetsam, which is just one verse, just one continuous. I added a chorus just so it didn't drive me insane. But yeah. So
Yeah,
whatever the song needs.
yeah, I mean, there's no right way to make songs. I mean, that's the thing.
Right.
Like everyone thinks that there's some formula that artists have to follow, and it's definitely never been like that. I mean, it's never been like that for me. I know maybe there's an industry standard.
Yeah.
Like if you're like some famous dude, you have to follow this standard or else they won't put your record out. I don't really know, but I know as far as independent, being your own creative person, you know, you can make whatever the fuck you want to make.
Yeah.
I think the third verse is dope in this. I think it works out well.
Thank you. Yeah.
It's crazy that you could pick out things that you hate about the song, and I'm just like, I think the song is great.
Thank you.
I would never notice any of the things that you hate about it.
And that's usually like I'll get into arguments with people and they're like, is this something that only you are going to notice? I'm like, yeah, but only me has to deal with this the rest of my life. And they're like, yeah, but if nobody else is ever going to catch that unless you tell them, like, who cares? I'm like, I care. But eventually I either lose that argument or I fix it. And like that one, I just was like, fine, this is the best it's going to be. For some reason, I can't say the word sometimes without sounding stupid. So I don't know. Also, I didn't know I didn't think you like weren't going to cut the feed. So I'm just like sitting here. I'm like, I think people are just like watching me listen to my own music and just, they can see the hatred in my eyes. I'm like, that part. Or,
oh yeah. Yeah. It's free flow, man. I play the joint. I nod out to the shit.
yeah,
I vibe out. You're over there just chilling, listening like, oh, what do I hate about this
picking it apart second by second. Yeah. In real time, just having a identity crisis on that song. Yeah.
Before we carry on about the record, because I'm telling you, this is actually a really dope record that you put together, man. But before we carry on, I wanted to step back real quick because you're one of the few people that I know, in indie people that I know personally. I mean, I know a few others, but not that many. But one of the indie people that I know personally that have done tracks with Idea before he passed.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember. I know you had told me things. I think I asked you and you told me things. I don't remember if I asked you or not. But did you guys record that track in the same studio?
No, he recorded that track during the sessions for By the Throat. So I caught him at the best possible time. Again, like we had talked about it for about a year. And every time he'd come through New England, he'd be like, oh, like we'd talk about the song and I wasn't ready because I kept postponing things. And then and obviously I'm like, what the hell am I going to do in the song? So like I went super fast in the first verse and then I sent it to him and I didn't know because he took that break when he was doing like Carbon Carousel, like after Eyenine, what was that, like 2003 or 2004. And he took that break all the way until By the Throat. And he was like, oh, like, just so you know, like, this is going to be a little bit different than what you're used to. And I was like, oh, like, what could it possibly be? And then he sent me that. And I was like, oh my God, he just made me look bad by going slow. Like, cause I thought it was going to be like the Eyenine, like the Idea from Now, you know, or like 120. But yeah. And so, no, he was doing that while doing By the Throat. And I was doing it in the Fly Rock studio in New Hampshire. And we would talk back and forth, either email or text, and just talk about it. There was actually a chorus to that song, and Dynamo actually made that beat, an amazing beat. My buddy Omar made the outro to it. But there was a chorus to that song, and Idea was like, no, this is way too much. Like there's like, if we're both doing two super long verses, and the chorus was really lame too. So I'm really glad that we never really recorded it. I recorded like a demo to it, and he was just like, the song doesn't need, and there was like a different part to the beat too. So because usually it's just like, and we hear that song Cataract Vision, it's like basically the same part throughout the whole thing. There was a different part, there was a chorus to it, but since the verses were so long, he was like, no, we should just cut it, which I think is beneficial to it.
I mean, y'all killed that joint. Like I love Idea's verse on that too.
The wearing my Academy Award winning performance face, it's like, what? Like, how did you?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, I know how he did it because he was crazy, but
I bumped that multiple times in my car, actually, that joint.
Nice.
And yeah, it's super fresh. It's dope.
that came from us being on that Beats, Breaks, and Big Smiles,
Oh,
because
word.
you were on that, I was on that, Christoph Crane as Absorber was on that, and his group Absorber, and Face Candy was on it, which was Idea, Christoph, and Carnage, and the other guys from Carbon Carousel. And Christoph Crane actually hit me up and he was like, hey, we're all in this app project together. Like, I'm one of Idea's best friends. Like, clearly he's a big influence on you. Like, do you want me to like set something up and you guys can talk? And I was like, yes, please. And then that's how. So shout out to Christoph for doing that. He's the one that connected us.
That's fresh, man.
Yeah.
The thing that's super dope about it is that you guys actually seem like you worked on it together. Like you said, there was multiple interactions about the song, and that's fresh
Right.
because I feel like a lot of people don't get a chance to do that if they don't work directly in the studio with an artist. Like,
Yeah.
and it's dope. It's dope. I mean, you said that the chorus, if you would have added it, it's good that you didn't because it was lame. There's actually a random example of someone. I'm not even gonna shout him out, but somebody did a joint from around here with Tech Nine and Mad Child,
Okay.
and they paid a shit ton of money to make this song happen, and at the end of the day, the chorus was terrible on the song, and like extremely bad. And when the song came out, I mean, I'll put the figures out there. They probably no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not
Yeah,
going
don't do that.
But
Yeah.
they dropped a lot.
You're right.
And Tech didn't even share it. And I'm pretty sure he didn't share it because the chorus was terrible. Like
That sucks.
I'm going to assume that that's the reason he didn't share. He might have just not shared it because he just grabbed his money and ran and it was done. But
Was his verse good?
oh yeah, he killed it.
Okay.
His verse is super dope on it. And I mean, Mad Child's on it. He shared it around, whatever. And then obviously the dudes that did the song, they shared it around. But a Tech Nine song, I've seen people do songs with Tech Nine, and when he shares it, they get over 100,000 some views.
Yeah.
This joint got, I don't even think it's at 20,000 views. And like they dropped, I'm talking about like down payments on cars type shit.
Yeah. Right.
To get that going, and for him not to share it, I might have walked away from music if some shit like that would have happened. If I would have dropped that much money on some shit and they didn't share it,
Right.
I might have been like, yeah, I'm not doing this no more. I put all my eggs in this basket. Nothing happened with it. I think I'm out. I think I'm done.
Right. I mean, something similar like that with me happened with the Idea song. I waited so long, and like he would come through, and like I'd be backstage with him and stuff, and I'd be drinking, and Abilities the whole time would be pissed. See, I think he hated me at first. He would always be like, "Oh, you're late," or no, he's like, "Your dork friend from New Hampshire is here." He's like, "Oh, Eyenine, like bring him back," and like we'd be drinking Maker's Mark, and he's like, "So when's that song coming out? When's that song coming out?" And I was like, "Oh, like it's not out yet. I'm still working on the album, but like here's the Insomnia sessions. Here's the album I put out in the meantime." And he's like, "Oh," and he like looks on it and he's like, "Oh, it's not on it." I'm like, no, you're going to be on the next one. And he's like, "Oh." And actually when he passed on the memorial website, they had a list of the CDs that he had in his room, and mine was there right next to East's, which I thought was crazy. It was from that night that I gave it to him. And then I ended up touring with Max Abilities later on, a couple of years after that. And he was like, "Oh yeah." He's like, "When you gave him that CD, he knew that I for some reason just didn't like you at first. So he would play that CD for me all the time just to piss me off on the road." And I was like, that is hilarious that I was like weaponized like my music. But yeah, so anyway, I waited so long, and then he passed suddenly, and I was like, oh, what? Like, obviously I was devastated from it. And like, I think like the 30th thought that came to my head was like, oh, what am I going to do about this album? I definitely didn't want to release it and like capitalize on his death. I know some rappers that I won't say their name, like put out memorial songs, and I'm like, the next week, like they got a bunch of views and stuff. But I'm like, I ended up talking to Kathy, his mom, and his manager Brady. And I was like, I don't want to release this unless I have permission. Like, I don't know who to ask. Like, I don't know what to do. I don't want to capitalize on this. So I ended up waiting, I think, another year And then Kathy was like, I think you should release it now. They shared it on the memorial site and on their the YouTube page. And then on my birthday, the Idea and Abilities account shared it. And they're like, happy birthday to Eyenine. Like he was friends with Idea, like he made this song, which I thought was really cool.
Oh yeah, that's super cool, man.
Yeah. But like I didn't get to have him not share it. I mean, I guess technically the page did, but it was Kathy or Brady that did it on the page. But like I never got for him to share it because I waited so long because it wasn't on that song specifically that song was done. It was other stuff. And that's when like my perfectionism like bit me in the ass, I guess. And it was just like, I was like, oh, he never got to hear. I mean, he heard it, but he never got to hear the whole album. Like he heard his song and I sent him like the song I had with Mac Lethal and stuff and like some other songs, but he never got to like hear it.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I'm not as big of a perfectionist as you are on songs, I don't think, or albums.
Right.
But I definitely do so much music that I sit on shit. And a similar thing like that had happened to me with the Sean Price joint.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right.
I didn't get a chance to, have Sean share that joint when he was here.
Right.
I know I talked to him right before he went into the studio. He told me, yo, I'm gonna kill this. And then he read me the verse right before he went in there and laid it down. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, RIP Sean Price, RIP Idea.
Definitely.
Lots of dope, talented artists gone way too soon. Another one that randomly happened, Fred the Godson, he actually passed from COVID. And I actually I did a joint with him probably 6 months before that happened and didn't get to release it until after he was gone. Like we're actually putting that joint out on a project that me and my dude Urban have, and we talked to them about us putting it out and they're cool with it. But yeah, it's unfortunate that things like that happen. Nobody knows how long they're going to be here. Nobody knows what life has in store. So you never know what's going to happen, man. But
right.
But yeah, we got to experience doing songs with some amazing people that are no longer with us. So I think that at the end of the day, that's a dope thing in itself.
Definitely.
But wow, it's kind of some sad shit. So let's
downturn.
Let's move back into this record that you got. So yeah, I actually really love the beat on this. That's why I wanted to play it. Kentucky Derby.
Nice. Okay, good choice. Yeah.
I love the beat on this. El Chupacabra produced all the tracks on this record.
All the tracks. And I remember him saying he was like, this one is like my masterpiece. So like he would joke around about it, but I know that like he definitely thought this was the best one that he did for this project. And it shows like if you look at the stems and like how like intricate and how many different times, like it's almost never the same measure. Like everything is, there's always something different going on in it with the drums and the percussion and everything. Like I think it's really good. And that's also a song that I didn't have a third verse. I was going to have DJ Myth do a whole scratching verse. And then I think even Shoop was like, no, you should do a third verse on this. And then I think the third verse might be the best one on there. So,
I mean, this track is cold, man. Was the title something you had? How do you title songs? Do you title them after or before or
after? I always title them after. This song was called something else. And I didn't have the chorus done yet. Because I'm awful at writing choruses, but I had this song was called, I think, Title Bout. Then I had a different song called Kentucky Derby because I was drunk at the bar in Portland when I was living up there watching the Kentucky Derby. And I was like, why is this Matt? It was like the recap of it. I'm like, who cares about the Kentucky Derby? Nobody gives a shit about this. Like the Preakness, like. And then, so I named a song Kentucky Derby. And then my buddy Omar was like, no, this song should be called Kentucky Derby because this has that feel to it. And then that inspired me to write the chorus of like, this is not a race. So yeah, that's a funny, it's not a normal way I name things. Usually it's like least amount that writes itself after I did the chorus. I'm like, what am I going to call it? Something that's not the thing I say 100 times in it. And Shine.
I mean,
same.
you don't have to. You don't have. You could have a title for something that has nothing to do with what you say.
Yeah, well, I mean, like Jetsam on
Yep.
on here. Like I basically had that song and I was like, well, if I need to throw one away, it's gonna be Jetsam. So I was like, oh, it used to be called like Anonymous because I say Anonymous in the chorus. I'm like, no, I'm gonna call this one Jetsam, just so everyone knows that this would be the first one tossed.
Word up, man. Well, let's get into this Kentucky Derby joint because like I said, I love the beat on this.
Yeah, and shout out to Devin Powell. He actually walked out to the song in the UFC and in Bellator, so it actually debuted that way. And I went to Buenos Aires, Argentina, with him and his wife Carolyn and his trainer Jay, and he walked out to the song I think for 4 fights. So, and he used to walk out to We're Alive back in the day from December.
Is that the guy? When I was out there, you played a wedding.
Yes. Yep. That was the wedding.
That's him.
And you had to crash at my place and I wasn't there because I got the dates wrong. Yeah, that was him. Him and Carolyn. Yeah.
Word, dope, man. I've never played a wedding, so that's cool in itself.
Yeah. It was like a reception. Like the wedding was the day before, but it was like the wedding was way up north in Allagash, and then the reception was for everyone to go to down where we were. Yeah. I remember like stressing out, being like, somebody's got to be there for these guys and I can't leave this. Like I have to be here. And I totally forgot it was the same day.
Yeah.
Glad that worked out though.
Yeah, man. So yeah, let's play this, and then we'll come back and we'll talk some more. Kentucky Derby, Eyenine. This features Christopher Beggars, right? Christopher Beggars was on it.
He used to be the singer from In the Arms of Providence and the Cambiata from Maine. He's really talented.
Yeah, El Chupacabra on the beat.
Yep, and DJ Myth on the cuts.
DJ Myth on the cuts. Amazing DJ, by the way. He always kills it when I see him live too.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's play it. Here we go.
Now, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to sing 3 kinds of songs for you. First, songs that I know. Second, songs that you know. And third, songs that I don't know. But first, I want to sing a song that everybody knows.
Time stops for no man, and no, we don't plan for a random romance. We can hold hands, stand off, or slow dance, but there's no chance to expand the program. Let the anger out, curse to the sky. Which words could be worse? You're the first to decide. Personally, I have a version in mind, but it still doesn't hurt to try. When it's your last chance to be making a difference, and your half-assed plans have forsaken your vision. You try to act like you can make a decision, but is the glass half full when you say that it isn't? Even now I'm having trouble believing. I need a reassuring person to discover the meaning while leaving nothing to chance. I've had enough and I can't communicate this any easier. I'm done for the evening. Don't forget to set the pace for the dreams you get to chase. No, this is not a race. No, this is not a race. If you only get a taste, you should learn to hold your way. No, this is not your place. No, this is not your place. This is a part where you're taking a step back and really trying to listen if you're taking the next track. If you're not, don't call it a setback. Just give it another go and you'll be on with your best rap. Cross one off the checklist, and if you're gone soft, then it's not expected that you're gonna rock such an awesome set list. But you can prove us wrong if we're all impressed with your next hit. Best wishes, this business is ruthless. The proof is in the pudding, nothing good is ever new. Good luck if you love what you do, but if you're in it for other reasons, that's not being true to yourself, to your friends, to your family, and others. Like your fans who could stand to be playing the cover. What would you say to your mother if you were singing another reason to sing and discover a way of sharing your view? Don't forget to set the pace for the dreams you get to chase. No, this is not a race. No, this is not a race. If you only get a taste, you should learn to hold your weight. No, this is not your place. No, this is not your place. You can always set the pace for the dreams you wanna chase. No, this is not a race. No, this is not a race. I can see it in your face that you're scared to make a change. No, this is not your place. No, this is not your place. This is the part where you make a decision. Is this really how you want to go about making a living? Cause the music life isn't for everyone. Just listen, it can be a lot to handle and damage into your vision. Well, it might sound glamorous to pipe dream amateurs, but I won't stand for this limited view. You gotta see the whole picture before lifting a finger. I don't mean to sound bitter, but I'm living the truth. It's not about money and fame. You got something to gain, I got nothing to say to you. Who think that this is something simple? I'm not speaking of riddles. You may never make a ripple like your favorites do. I hate to break it to you, this very negative view is based on such a sacrifice, and that's a life that I choose. Every day when I wake up singing the blues is a thing I wouldn't trade for the world, and that's true. Don't forget to set the pace for the dreams you get to chase. No, this is not a race. No, this is not a race. If you only get a taste, you should learn to hold your weight. No, this is not your place. No, this is not your place.
That's a dope track, man, right there. I don't know if I think all verses are fire, man. I don't really know if I would say the third verse is. I mean, maybe to you. I think they're all.
It just
fire.
means like, well, thank you. Yeah, it just like it's more personal, like the third one, and it's like
okay.
It kind of wraps it up. Like the first is like your life, the second is like everyone else, and then the third is like, oh, it's like specifically your career, and like
Yeah,
and it can be. And I think the reason why Devin is the one that says "oh damn" and shit in the second verse, so you can hear his voice in it. Which is funny because in Argentina, those are both considered swears. So as he was walking out to the song, it cut those two parts out. I'm like, those are the only two parts he's in the song. But yeah, in the third verse, like you can just replace music. If this music life isn't for you, it could be anything like the fighting life, MMA, or teaching or cooking or whatever you do for a living. You know, it's like, if you're not going to put all into it, then why do it? And you got to know that you want to do it.
Yeah, man.
Just,
I mean, this is this is a dope track. Like I said, I love the production on it. I mean, the verses fit well, the concept, the idea, everything's dope about it. And the fact that you have an MMA fighter walking out to it is super dope. I always wanted something like that. You know, I've been trying to. I think I even reached out to the Pettis brothers multiple times to try to get to walk out to some of my shit, but you know, they already got their own themes. So
right.
Plus, my shit is. They probably have to be like some hardcore on some gangster rugged shit to walk out to my shit.
All right.
but yeah, man. Yeah, this is dope, man. There is one more joint that I wanted to play. Unless you're pressed for time, I mean, we could wrap it right now.
Which song?
Well, I wanted to play Patience.
Okay, yeah. No. All right. If you said anything else, I'd be like, I gotta go. No, I actually Patience is besides Kentucky Derby, I think Patience is my favorite song. Might even be my favorite song I've ever written lyrically. I know like Mike Wing from New Hampshire. I played it once and he was like, what the hell was that song? That's the best song I've ever heard you do. And it's not, and that's why I put it at number 7, because like the thing with numbers. I'm like, oh, number 4, number 7, Kentucky Derby and Patience. But I think there's so many songs that people like more than that one. It's not necessarily they don't like Patience, but like that one I thought was going to be a lot more like well received.
This is my, so I love the Kentucky Derby beat. I love the production on it. The song's dope. This is my favorite joint.
Nice. Yeah, same. Yeah.
So yeah, let's play that joint. Let's come back. We'll wrap up. We'll let you get about your way. And then yeah, if you wanted to stay on for a little bit after just to chop up about this vinyl situation, we could do that. Unless you wanted to dip out, and we could.
I mean, now that Facebook's working again, I could just like talk to you tomorrow. That was such a weird thing to wake up and I was like, oh, the whole world stopped. I can't check anything. All right, I'm going. It was super
weird. The other thing that sucked about it is I didn't get to do as much promo for this as I wanted to.
Yeah, I was like, oh, it's working now. I'm gonna post it, but it's like I was gonna do a whole thing like a blitz today, and I'm like, oh, I guess I can't. Like not even Instagram. Like I couldn't do anything.
The thing about it is I pull clips of cool random combo that we have. I pull clips of shit. I'll post a clip up and post the link so people can go to it and check. Obviously, it's live right now, but when we're done, it's still there. So people will be able to go back and check the whole thing out. You know what I'm saying?
Nice.
From front to back. If they
and I'll share it again. I'll put it on Instagram if you send me like an image of it or something.
Yeah.
Or no, you did. Yeah, you did. That's what I was going to post today and I couldn't. Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so pick apart the Passion
day.
Podcast. Definitely. Pick apart the Passion Podcast. We're going to play this joint Patience. One of my favorites, probably my favorite off the record. Eyenine says it's probably his favorite off the record. So we're going to play this joint. We're going to come back. We're going to wrap up. And let's do that. Here we go. Patience.
I used to know, those that surround me both improve and grow, though we're due for those old acoustic notes. So the music goes, focus, lose control. An overdose of potent emotion can show show us how. Even though you like it open, I'm hoping you close your mouth. I know it's not profound, and although this was solid ground, where I'm standing is apparently barren and wearing down. I'm looking for a sane way to make a decision, and it pays to play it safe, and saving grace is the mission. I'm facing fate with a fist in the air, amazed at the vision. I've been awake for 7 days, like maybe 8 will be different. I could be making a living, trying to fake a religion, but I'm debating perfect placement. If I say it, you'll listen. I hate to break it to the saviors, nothing sacred in business, and if this is the way to hell, then I'll be paying a visit. Patience, how do I take time to make this? How can I face my mistakes when out of the gate I've been late? With the passion to create, if I wait, I can save this. How do I take time to make this? How can I face my mistakes when out of the gate I've been late? With the passion to create, if I wait, I can save this. Thinking how it used to be usually isn't wise. If you used to be the one who was usually in disguise, we could use a little truth to remove us from all the lies. And our youth, we were so ruthless, refusing to compromise. But conversing with old friends and burning at both ends has me certain that it's worse. And now I'm learning there's no sense in worrying about the kind of person I'll be, because changing habits now doesn't seem worth it to me. And personally, I have been down on my luck. Am I the first to feel this way? I never found it as such, but every town has its rut, and I'm thinking now is enough for me to shake this little face, complaining how I've been stuck. Once lost, now found in a state of confusion. And I hate to be this honest when creating this music, but every dog has its day, and every day is a nuisance. I never used to be this fake just for the sake of amusement. Patience, how do I take time to make this? How can I face my mistakes when out of the gate I've been late? With the passion to create, if I wait, I can save this. How do I take time to make this? How can I face my mistakes when out of the gate I've been late? With the passion to create, if I wait, I can save this. How do I take time to make this? How do I face my mistakes when out of the gate I've been late? With the passion to create, if I wait, I can save this. How do I take time to make this? How do I face my mistakes when out of the gate I've been late? With the passion to create, if I wait, I can save this. I can save this. I can save this. I can save this. I can save this.
Yeah. That's a
That's
great
what-
song, man.
Thank you. And I always try to include at least one on the album where it's like, because back when I was younger, listening to rap albums, there'd always be like that one track that has the extra verse on it, and then I would like rap along when I'm driving. So like I think that was one of the beat that I wanted to do it on the most, just like leave it open for like a minute so anyone can just rap after the song is done, and just I'd practice freestyling or do or written to it or
That's dope,
whatever.
man.
And that's actually
Don't make me download it right now and put an extra verse on it.
go for it. I'll send it to you. That's actually my brother at the end playing the guitar added to it. And I think that's the song Shoop sampled his live jazz band from Maine, I think a little bit north of Portland. So like it's all real instruments on that beat, which is really cool.
Oh, dope, man.
Yeah.
And you had mentioned that you feel like you suck at choruses. I think this chorus is pretty fresh on this joint.
That chorus was basically like, hey, I know this album's taking a long time, but let me do it the way I need to do it, and it'll be good in the end. That's so basically that was my like, because the Wu-Tang, Real Hood Music and Wu-Tang Management, like they're the ones that put it out, and they were like, is it done? And I'm like, no. And they're like, it needs to be done. And then I was like, hey, here's the new song from it. And it was just like patience. I'm like, give me a little bit more time. Like I can't make something out of nothing. Like I need to do this. But yeah.
Yeah, man. Is this just out digitally? Do you have any
Nope.
physicals?
I have physicals. I was gonna set up a store. I've been setting it out like just through the media mail. Excuse me. And I just toured, and I think I got a couple hundred of them, and I have a few left. I'm gonna re-up them at some point, especially for the next tour or the next big show. But yeah, no, I have hardcore physical copies of it. Hard copies. That's what I meant to say. Not
That's what's
hardcore
up,
music.
man.
Yeah.
Well, this has been fun, man. This is a
Yeah.
dope album. It was cool to talk to you about some past, our interactions, how we know
Right.
each other, some music, some crazy things you had that you have done. This is dope, man. So
Yeah.
let people know real quick, what's the best way? Because I know everyone's got every social media platform, but what's the best one that you use most often where people can get a hold of you and check up on your shit? Like what do you put your stuff on most often?
MySpace. I know. I guess Facebook.
I don't even know my login for MySpace. I'm not
Yeah,
even
me
gonna
either.
lie.
I think that's how we met too, though. Or we used to talk on that. But no, I guess like Facebook, Instagram at Eyenine747, Eyenine 747. I update that a lot, and I'll like the profile link will be the newest thing that I put out. I don't really. Everything's up on SoundCloud, but I don't really post things on there like until it's done. Bandcamp has all of my albums, including the ones that I don't have on Spotify. For all the ones that are up that aren't on Bandcamp. And what's the other one? It's Bandcamp, Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, or whatever the hell it's called now. But yeah, no, I guess just keep up Facebook, Instagram for like updates on tours and stuff, especially tours for like tour flyers and stuff. The Instagram is where to go.
Cool, man. Well,
And
yeah,
Twitter. I forgot Twitter, but
Twitter. Yeah,
it's the same at I9747.
yeah, and that's good that you're the same on pretty much everything. I know that's actually a thing that people need to do as artists, and a lot of them don't. It's crazy when people have like a different name for everything.
Yeah.
You gotta like search and find.
Yeah,
like,
I think
what
even
is it?
Facebook is just facebook.com/I9747. It could have been I9 and a couple of the things I could have had as I9, but I think it was either Twitter or Instagram. It was Instagram, and somebody had it was like a woman from India's first name, I9, and I was like,
Oh.
damn it, like I need this. And then I was like, and then I was gonna do like I9 music or something, and I was like, I'll just do 747, and so that's a long story in and of itself. But yeah, so I just made it universal on everything, I9747.
Cool, man. Well, yeah, everybody out there, definitely go check out Eyenine. He's got a lot of dope music out there circulating around, including this new dope album that we talked about.
A little above low key on every major streaming service.
There it is. There it is. So let me do an outro. We'll let Eyenine get on with the rest of his night. This has been Pick Apart the Passion podcast, where it's best to pick apart yourself to get to your passion. This is brought to you by Cypher Den Music, Jab Kai Media. Shouts out to my dude Rambunctious, who is the creator of Pick Apart the Passion podcast. And I'm going to leave you with a quote from his father. Is it better to be nice or kind? And we'll leave you with that quote. And Eyenine, it's been great to have you on the show. Hopefully, we can make something pop in this November time. If we can't, obviously, I'll be out there again at some point in time, but hopefully we can make something happen. Hit me up about the vinyl if you want to talk about it. I could give you info on that. But yes, this has been Eyenine on Pick Apart the Passion podcast. And hope to talk to you soon, brother.
Definitely. Thanks for having me.
All right.